All right, so we've learned a couple really important things today. So, number one, we are at the bottom of the U shaped curve. There's no question about that. I mean, it is just flat as a lake. And so, if you're looking to get into the market and you've been watching these videos, this is the time to this is the time to get off the sidelines and actually put some money in order. How do I know that? Well, we're going to talk about that a lot of specifically about the movements that I made today and the strategies that I'm doing that are going to echo just that. But secondarily, we're seeing, and I know they use this in technical stock analysis, and I'm not really a big fan of those. I'm sure there's value in it. But there's a term where they call a resistance level and a support level. And a support level, I believe, is the bottom one where it's like if stocks are going to go up and down. So if you look at this, we'll just play it over a month and pretend like this is a stock. It won't go past this amount. It won't go farther than this. It'll go down, but it'll never go farther. Um, and anyway, it's a line that kind of the stock never crosses. And I think the resistance level, I think, is the top one where it's like once a stock hits that amount, it goes down. So one of the things that I had read today was that Warren Buffett basically sold all of his equities in airlines. And he said, it's really interesting. He said that he never hedges his bets in airlines. So he never trims it down to like, cutting 50% of investment, but keeping 50% in. He either has 100% in because he says he wants to buy as much of that stock as possible or as much of that industry as possible, or he has zero. And there's no middle ground. So people went into the market today thinking, well, the airlines are going to get murdered today because if Warren Buffett, of all people, is saying he's getting out of the airlines, that means everybody's going to get out. And I lend some credence to that. I think there's some value to that. So one of the things I noticed was in reading this, I was reading this article and they talked about, and it was actually this one right here, the stocks that COVID-19 impacted the most and the least. And it has stay-at-home stocks, which are all going up. Of course, that won't stay. Once people open up, those stocks, I would say you might want to short some of these. Work-from-home stocks, especially Zoom. I mean, this is up and down. Part of it's down because they're getting competitors in the marketplace. Stocking up stocks. These ones you'll definitely want to short because there's no way that Costco is going to stay up here. Well, that's even from a day. So if we look at from a year, I mean, look at this. This is the coronavirus, up and down, jiggity jaggedy, jiggity jaggedy. So it might level off right about here, but look at the turbulence you see right in the middle of March. Let's see, Campbell's soup, because those are perishable. These are the hoarders, up and down. Procter and Gamble, they do a lot of the soap and disinfectants. I used to have them as a client, so that's how I know. Relatively stable, coronavirus, and then starting to be stable because people are stocked up. But when we look at airline stocks, it's interesting. If you look at what Warren Buffett said, and we'll take a look at some of these. And this is when Warren Buffett said, "I'm selling mine." Boom, and it went down, went up, flattened out, and it's starting to move up. United Airlines, boom, off of Warren Buffett, flattened out, starting to move up. American, boom, same thing. Southwest, boom, same thing. And so I'm starting to think it's like there's a resistance. I don't know if it's not resistance level, but it looks like there's a core belief that no matter what happens, these stocks aren't going to go down any farther. I mean, they're trying to find the ocean floor, but then they're moving up, right? So if we look at, that's 5 days, let's look at a month. And I don't like that one as much. All right, let's take a look at year to date. That's probably better just from a visual. There's the drop. We're in the U-shaped recovery right here. There's the drop. We're in the U-shaped recovery. There's the drop. We're in a U-shaped recovery. And there's the drop. We're in a U-shaped recovery, although this one's dropping a little bit more, but we're generally in the U-shaped recovery. And so if it were a V-shaped recovery, you'd see it go boom, maybe go down a little bit farther and go right back up. But It's not doing that. So we are literally at the bottom of this. So with that in mind, we need to really start understanding that no matter what happens, look, these stocks are not dropping past this level. It drops here, goes up, goes back down, and it never breaks this level, no matter how much it tries to do that. It goes down, and it hits this level, but it'll never break this level. It'll never break this level. And here, it's the first time it broke it a little bit, but not by much. So, so with that being said, we want to look at what we're doing. So a couple things I did late last night is and it was just really weird. It's like sometimes you just get bad luck or whatever. It's not really bad luck, but it's just funny the way things happen. So we look at, I'm going to pull this up. So let's look at Norwegian. All right, look at Norwegian. We'll look at MFA. And what was the other one we did? Eldorado Resorts. Okay, so let's go to Eldorado Resorts. So one of the things that I did is I said, okay, since we looked at the pre-market trading was down, and aftermarket trading was down on Friday. So I'm like, all right, well, I currently had it was at 14.35. I'm like, all right, if it goes down, we're going to sell this stock early, and we're going to trip it. I think it was at $14, 160 and 18. If it goes below that, then let somebody else take the hit, and we'll come back Monday and rebuy it. Okay. And so we took a look at what happened today, and it was just kind of a weird thing. So first of all, I guess we'll just start with the one that really just annoys the crap out of me, which is Norwegian. So this is their 1 day. I put a limit order in for them. It was at 14.35, and I put a limit order in for them of, let's take a look at this, of $14 right there. Okay. So it drops so fast it gets down to $12.50, and this thing sells at $12.48. So I'm like, all right. I woke up this morning, 12:48, and what does it do? It jumps immediately back up to 14.50. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? So what happened, first time I've ever had to do this, and it's just dumb luck. It's the first time we look at Norwegian. Where is that at? Where is, oh, there it is. Okay. And we take a negative number here, which is just crazy. I've never done that before, and I'm honestly just kind of incensed that just for a small little bit of time it dropped down, and then it just recovered back up. So, and then it just kind of has a positive movement from there, and now it's sitting at about 14.40. So we look at MFA, did the same thing, dropped down to 159 and immediately recovered, although this is a small little bit. And then ERI was the same thing, dropped down to 17.17, immediately jumped right back up. So what happened on these guys is these guys had a limit order, and it just hit this small little blip where it triggered those limit orders, and then it jumped back up, which is just such a weird thing to happen. I mean, that's just not common. So what do? Well, being the stubborn person I am in some respects, I'm not going to be completely stubborn, but I am not letting this guy right here stay there. We're not going to let that happen. So I'm going to get that back. And so with that being said, it sold at 12.48. Well, we're going to put a limit order at 12.45, and we're going to get our money back at some point. It's at 14.35. At some point, it's going to go down. If it doesn't go down, then so be it. I'll swallow my pride, I guess. But I did the same thing with MFA. Sold it at 160 and got it at 150. Basically, we're putting in for 155. It's currently at 167. So let's undo these now that we've talked about those. And then Eldorado Resorts sold at 18. And I said, okay, fine. We're going to buy those stocks back at $17.95, just a little bit under it. It's at $18.85, but we're going to get that back at some point. So very annoying that it just hit for that little blip that we see right here, but it's particularly the MF one just was crazy. It's like somebody's looking over your shoulder and just trying to mess with you. So anyway, that being said, we had about $11,000, $11,600 that we triggered in our limit sells. I canceled the Viking one just because I wanted to use some of that free cash to take advantage of this bottom of the market, the U-shaped recovery that we talked about. Overnight, a couple things did happen. It triggered an Every, which is the casino ATM and cash services stock at 425, and it's currently bounced back up to 470. So I guess we evened out a little bit, and that lowered our cost basis to 465, and it brought us back over in the black. So that one is good to go. And Ikagi, which is actually, there's a Y there, I keep forgetting that. Where is that guy? All right. So with that being said, that got triggered at 513. Oh, and that current price is not 167. It's 518. All right, so that one went in the black a little bit, so that's good too. So we can go ahead and we're just going to delete these out since we've already dealt with those. 2 did not get triggered, so which is fine. I set that a little bit lower. It's a REIT, so it's going to have to dip a little bit more for us to buy those. So on top of that, we had some cash to play with today. So with that being said, we took a look at a few stocks here. You know, I showed you United, which right here, and that one's just at the bottom. So that's kind of when we want to buy it. So I said, okay, I'll throw some more money at that, throw $1,000 at that. And we have a limit order at 25. It's currently at 25.60. So if it dips down a little bit further, it triggers out. But more importantly, what it'll do is it'll lower the cost basis right here and help get this number down and put us back into the black. Dave & Buster's. Okay, so Dave & Buster's, I just read. We'll open that up. Where is... All right, Dave & Buster's is... Maybe it's near the bottom here. Yeah, I think it is near the bottom here. So, okay. So Dave & Buster's had some interesting news, and I think whoever is the subject of this news article is probably doing the same thing that we're doing. So we look at the news, and they got a $100 million investment from Jefferies to bolster its balance sheet. So what they basically did is they agreed. We'll take a look right here. All right. So Jefferies LC has agreed to buy $100 million of its stock. Why? Because it's really low. And so Dave & Buster's basically used the proceeds to bolster its balance sheet, which is exactly what we want to see. That's a win-win. We have a big company making a big investment at the bottom of the market, and the company benefits because it makes it more stabilized. So that's the case. We're jumping back into Dave & Buster's at 11.35. Now, if you remember, we used to have this a while ago, and we bought Dave & Buster's when it hit 6, and we sold it for 11.06. So great return back. And I thought, okay, I want to get in, so I'm not going to set it too low. It's currently at 11.49. Let's turn off my mail. And so we'll get in 11.35 and get a nice little $1,500 share of that one. Every is the same thing. So we looked at Every, and currently Every, where's my guy, Every? So Every, again, has 100% analyst buy sheet, and we're right around break even right here for the cost of it versus where our investment is. So with that being said, we're going to jump in more of that as well. So it's at 470. If it comes in at 450, because currently we're at 465, it'll lower the cost basis just a little bit. It gives us a bigger stake in that, because that's going to jump as soon as Vegas and the casinos opened up. So I had a little bit more money than I wanted to play with. So we looked at the other one, Menlo, which is Menlo Therapeutics, which is a biotech company. Again, 100% buy rating. And It's sitting at 173 with a three-point upside, which it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. But 100% buy rate, we definitely want to get in on that, especially a biotech in this market. So I put it at 170. It's sitting at 173. More than likely, this is going to trigger overnight. So with that being said, we got 5,000 in cash left, and we're sitting at a 19-point gain at the bottom of the market. Think about that. That's pretty crazy. So with that being said, we have two stocks that are 100% the Double My Value Club. We have BHR and Braemar Resorts and Crestwood Equity. And ironically, Crestwood Equity has passed Braemar, who has been our leader in the clubhouse for a while. So this is the point in time where we want to get this cost basis in, and we want to get our bets in, because like I said, when we look at this right here, we are looking at the bottom of the market. This is the U-shaped recovery. Now, does it mean it's going to go up immediately? No. It could sit here and extend for a U for a while. It could go up a little bit. It may even go down a little bit more. Who knows? But we're seeing a trend here where it's not really piercing below anything no matter what happens. And when Warren Buffett says, I'm going to sell all my airline stocks and it craters, people go, oh, really? I'll buy it here. And it immediately goes up and has an upward motion. So with that being said, that is where we stand right now. And that's not even including if I want to throw more money in. But if I throw more money in, it's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be in this U-shaped recovery, finding some stocks that are going to poke their heads out and give us upside. So with that being said, we look at our upside chart. And again, this whole chart is on, you can access and view it through the link. Use it yourself on the link in the video description. But we have a whole bunch of limit orders up at the top here. I'm staying away from the oil ones right now. I was tempted to get into UCO because I was looking at UCO, and so let's go into UCO, and I was starting to see a trend for UCO, and it looks like we'll go into the chart for a month, and it went down. That's when the stock split. It went up, it went down. And over the last week, we have an upward trend. So I was thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, I might want to get into that. But then I'm like, all right, well, I have a pretty good stake in it already. We already have $5,000 in it right now. So if it goes up, that's fine. This number is going down. This used to be at 70, so this is working in the right direction. But I think maybe when it gets to about 20, we'll throw in a little bit more in there as well. So, but that being said, IVR, there's no movement on that. MFA, I actually trimmed this out. If you notice in the holdings, well, you don't have it anymore. I did have 2,867 shares. I decided to cut half of them out. So we're doing 1,450 on that. Let's make sure I'm not sure why that referenced out. It's 14, make sure that's right. Yep, that is correct. Trim that out because I don't really need to rebuy those all over again. I made a profit on those, that's fine. So we'll keep that in there. It allows us to buy some of the other stuff. But if you look at here, we have positive news on Dave & Buster's. And we're going to look at this column here. Positive news on Dave & Buster's. We have Eldorado Resorts, which has been really good for us. So we're going to rebuy that at an 80% buy rate. We have two harbors at a 78. We have Norwegian Cruise Lines at 60, and that's just to get me over because I don't want to take that crappy small little loss because of the stupid blip that I dealt with before. Oh well, that's maybe an emotional. I get emotional for a little bit. United Airlines, again, the airlines are moving up, so we're going to buy into that and trim this cost basis down. EVRI is right about right there at 100% buy rate. Of course, we're going to do that. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. And Menlo Therapeutics, we're going to do the same thing at 100%. So with that being said, the lowest of the upside is Menlo, and that's got 100% buy rate, and EVRI, which has got 100% buy rate. So overall, with what we have right now, we're slated to get about 110,000, making about a 537% gain. And with the ones we're slated to buy as limit orders, we're looking at about a 54,000 at about 400% gain for a total of 163 and at about a 480% gain, which is actually lower than it was before, but we have some really high quality buy ratings on there. So with that being said, we'll see what happens overnight. And again, we want to see what tomorrow looks like. So again, there's no guarantee on that, but it's just a good basis on here. So take a look at Dow futures, and it's relatively flat, but on the upside. We'll take a look at this later on tonight. I usually look at this right before I go to bed and to see where it lands, to see if it moves up or down. But if it sits here right now, this just points to a continuation of the U-shaped recovery, and we'll let the individual stocks decide if they get bought. So with that being said, we will see you tomorrow.
Now, this is just a small sample of what we have in our full program. If you want to change the results you're having, you want to get rid of the struggle, and you want to actually have sales be easy, where people naturally are signing up with you all the time, and you're not really even putting in much effort, it's time to make that change in your life right now. Go ahead and click on the button below and get started in our full program. And when you do click on that button, you're going to get a full description of what we get the program. I have a couple bonuses that I want to throw your way. We're constantly adding free stuff to the program. And it's also going to talk about our full no-brainer guarantee. So click on the button below to get started now.